So good morning or good night, depending on where you are, and welcome to another interview of The Shield Doing the Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and tonight we're talking to Andres Ruiz. He's the vocalist and guitar player for the band False Figure. So False Figure is a band that started in 2015, and they hail from Oakland, California, and they play a type of rock that I would describe like goth with alternative and really like 80s, early 90s type of vibe. So Andres, how are you, sir, today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. So I'm glad I got to discover your band. I didn't know the band until I got the promo, but I listened to the single and I saw the music video for Possession,
Uh-huh.
the music video that you have, and I felt like, yeah, this is really interesting, and I like the sound, the way that you sing it. So tell me a little bit about the beginnings of the band.
So False Figure started between me and the drummer Ian. We both used to work together at this company, and I actually met him on my way out when he had just started. And it was kind of a bigger spot. We kind of liked the same music. I liked his vibe. We were into the same, kind of work ethic, just both kind of crazy at the time. And I was like, yeah, well, let's get together and jam. The band I was doing before had just kind of broken up with the bass player moving to LA. And we started jamming maybe in like 2014, wintertime, 2014. And didn't really, we had a bunch of ideas, bunch of songs kind of half done. And then once we got our friend Shane, who Ian knew from Arizona, in on bass, and then three of us started jamming, and then yeah, we came up with we had like 5 songs or something. We did a little 7-inch, recorded the 7-inch, went on tour 2017 and 2016 or 2017. We did a little West Coast tour, and then yeah, it's kind of how it started there. That was the original.
Nice. And so yeah, the sound of the band, I heard like goth and alternative. Like what influenced you for the sound of the band?
So at the time, what was it? I was listening to a lot of there's a lot of stuff in New York at the time that I was really stoked on. A lot of stuff on the East Coast. Sacred Bones had just put out a compilation, like Killed by Death Rock, which is kind of was kind of a joke, not a joke, but a play on the Killed by Death series. A bunch of rarities and punk singles from '77 beyond, and each release would kind of have its own theme. So Killed by Death Rock was kind of in the same vein, where it just released a bunch of kind of unheard or unearthed older Death Rock stuff from stuff that wasn't generally played out that often. And it was really great. And Sacred Bones had put that out. They had also put out a bunch of other releases around that time. I was kind of getting into more like pop, techno stuff. Lust for Youth was a really big band that I was into that was kind of more taking from it was more, I guess, initially on the cold wave European kind of feel. But I still liked a lot of the modern stuff that was coming out, the weird stuff like punk bands like Exit Order, Anasazi. Over in Cleveland, there was a band called Pleasure Leftists that came out with the EP in 2014, maybe 2013. That was just, really melodic, very, it's still driving, still fun, still on the post-punk side of things, but yeah, I just wanted to do something more than, the more basic rudimentary punk bands that I was doing at the time. And I think Ian was on the same tip. So I was influenced a lot by kind of more melodic metal guitar, and playing a lot of, scales on that, kind of going up and down the scale for it. But yeah, I just wanted to keep it very simple, driving and to the point. And that's kind of was always the ethos behind False Figure, as well as kind of bringing in this like, really noisy, kind of just getting lost from start to finish. We'd start our set, it'd be, we'd play 18 minutes, 20 minutes tops, and just feedback in, guitar come screeching in, heavy drums with the tom fills, a lot of floor tom action, and then just one song into another until we were done. And it was just a sweaty mess by the end of it. And that was kind of the old school, the original vibe of False Figure.
Nice. Yeah, I know you had a few EPs before the full length that came out in November, the Castigations album. So false figure, like what does it mean to you, the name like of the band? Like, is there like a story behind it?
Uh, I think the story is just kind of, we were just coming up with names, and that was the one that stuck the most. That was, alliteration was cool. It that was the best name that we had at the time. Names are always
It
kind of
sounds
hard to
cool.
get. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I think when I hear it, I initially I thought back to like, oh, false figure, it's like an apparition, like a ghost or something that's not quite there. And also a lot of the songs are politically left leaning, so a lot of it's like false figure. You think of like a false state. It kind of dives into that or ties into that a little bit as well. But I think just overall, it just made the most sense to go with that name over what else we had on the chalkboard. So
Nice. So I checked the video for Possession, and I see on YouTube that that's the only music video that you've done so far. But the
yeah, so
music video is pretty interesting. There's a lot of chains. I'm guessing that the song is very sexual in nature. So what's that song about, Possession?
Possession. So when we wrote that song, and it's basically just about being in a kind of stuck in a relationship, something codependent, or stuck in limerence with somebody where you're just kind of tied into your own it's like you create your own bonds, right? And you
Mhm.
kind of let them sink their teeth into you, and you can't get away. You become subjugated to like whatever that person feels, a total subordinate of this person's will. Um, and I was talking to our friend Marcel, who directed it, and I was like, okay, cool. I really want to go with like explore some BDSM themes, do some chains. We had some other stuff that we didn't really shoot, but it was going to be way more. I think by the end of it, actually, there was a point where I was being choked on a chain, literally held up by a chain by our friend Solange, who was the other side opposite me in that video. But yeah, it's basically just about being possessed by a lover, more or less.
Yeah, you should release the uncut version with with that one. Maybe that's too strong. Yeah, the
Maybe,
music video,
yeah.
yeah, it's good, and the vibes of the band. Like when I was listening to the band, I felt of like a mix of like the Depeche Mode with the Cure and some punk.
There you
Like
go.
that type of vibe is what I got from the band, and the style that you sing, because it's like it goes well like with the bass in this, like it complements well like the music, like it's kind of dreamy too in a
Mhm.
way, like the way that you're singing. So which, like when you were like growing up, like which singers inspired you as with the vocal technique that you like to do?
Man, I'm gonna catch a little bit of flack for this. Uh, I don't really pull from it necessarily, but I think that Morrissey's a really great singer. He's not a great person,
Why
and I
would you
think,
get flagged? That was the other one I was thinking, Morrissey, the Smiths.
yeah, I mean, Robert Smith, hands down, I think he's one of the best musician, in our lifetime. More just consistently through the decades. The Cure's had some ups and downs, but they've transformed so much over time. And I really like Robert Smith's singing style, and even at the time, when he came out, there's a lot of people that thought it was nails on a chalkboard, or thought he just was kind of annoying, and he really kind of brought forth that like very kind of unsure, desperate sounding vocal style that I thought was really cool, and it kind of worked really well for his music. Um, I think I really had a hard time singing when I was a lot younger.
Mhm.
I would always kind of try to hide my voice through gruff vocals. I listened to a lot of hardcore. I grew up kind of more in that world, especially in the metal world too. It's not very melodic, and this is kind of the first band where I've had to kind of let my voice do its thing, and it's been it's been a growth for sure. You can go back to listen to the earlier releases, and you can hear how my singing style has kind of changed, and now I'm trying to go more cleaner sounding guitars, cleaner sounding vocals, um, let things be as natural and undisturbed as they could be, and try to just grow from there.
Yeah, that sounds like a good thing. I don't know. Has anyone ever told you, like I'm talking to you right now, and I'm like, you look like a young Trent Reznor.
I got that once. I can't remember who said that, but I got that once. Thank you.
That's a good compliment. Like you sure I'll
Yeah,
take it.
yeah,
like even the hair, I'm like he reminds me of Trent a little bit. The
yeah,
Hispanic Trent Reznor.
yeah. I'll take that. That's a really high compliment. Thank you.
Yeah. So no, I really enjoyed the album, and I enjoyed it because like I was reading the press release that you wanted an album that's like no filler, all killer. And yeah, I
Yeah.
think you did it with this album because I think the flow of the album is really good. You know, it's 10 songs, 37 minutes, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. And I love the starting track Plexus, especially it starts with a great bass that
Hmm.
really like gets you in. So castigations, because castigation sounds like a word in Spanish, like castigo, like being
Yeah,
punished.
exactly.
Is
Yeah.
that where you got the title from?
Yeah, and it's basically castigations. It's like a, it's punishment. It's and it's I was wondering if I should really call it punishment, because I don't want people to listen to it and be like, oh, I'm being punished for 10 tracks. It's like not good. But it's kind of the whole vibe of the whole record is just coming from kind of a place of being, unhappy or just being dissatisfied. A lot of the songs were, I was, kind of stemming from past relationships, failed relationships, things that are themes in my life that were just kind of, I keep stepping into stuff the same way and I never learned my lessons. Samsara is a song about that. Samsara relating to the Hindu belief and Buddhist belief that we relive the same, life over and over again, walk through the same motions. We can't escape the cycle until you hit enlightenment, and then you escape samsara, you join Brahma, you're back into like the actual world, but you're not a person at that point. Um, so yeah, castigations is just, kind of, for me, was just an idea of the punishment that I put myself through, and the shit that I keep stepping in, more or less.
Yeah, I think everyone can relate to that because everyone sometimes does the same mistakes over and over again. Plus, you have, say this lament, like you, by looking at the album titles, I also really liked Death Pact.
Mm.
Can you go a little bit more of what Death Pact, the story behind that one?
So Death Pact is basically kind of about our innate desire for self-destruction. We both, me and the drummer, have a flirty relationship with destroying ourselves. Uh, we met when we were bike messengers at this messenger company. It was a, pretty high intensity, risky job. We both have our scars from it. I was just talking today about how I, popped my hand a couple years ago and always going to have the broken bone. We both broken bones doing what we do, and it's just kind of a lust for life kind of deal. But this risky behavior, it's just, I never really knew where it stems from. It's kind of just been with me all my life. I'm sure it's been with Ian all his life too. I have a lot of friends that, I kind of look at like, man, you did that. Okay, cool. I can kind of relate to, why you feel the need to do that. But damn, man, it's just, the Death Pact is mostly just about how we're trying to subconsciously destroying ourselves, whether we're aware of it or not. And I guess just paying homage to that. Yeah.
So by doing this record and going through these songs, did you find it that it was like sort of like therapeutic, like getting this stuff out of you and getting it into music?
Yeah, I mean, writing music is always therapeutic, and that's why I always, stem from stuff that's gives me the most amount of mental anguish, right? Like and I think about it all the time. It's whenever I'm frustrated or depressed or whatever, it's usually when I haven't been able to write anything new, and I'm at that point now where I haven't really written. I'm working on some new music for False Figure, whatever else, ends up, whatever projects come that fit for it. But as long as I'm working towards something, I'm able to have an outlet for whatever I'm feeling. And this is a way, it's like, it's cathartic because you end up revisiting a lot of these topics that give you a lot of grief or turmoil or whatever. Um, and you're able to put in its place and compartmentalize it and eventually move on. There's a saying I love that's, the best songs are love songs, but even better than that are breakup songs, because everyone can relate to love, falling in love, whatever. Yeah, those songs are great, but breakups, man, those fucking hurt way more, and everyone's got even more experience with that. So yeah,
Yeah,
so those two things,
depends on the type of breakup too, but yeah, I get what you're saying. So yeah, I really, dug yeah, I see that the the sun is coming to your eyes.
yeah,
So
yeah, I
so
can't
how's
take
the music scene there for in Oakland, San Francisco area? I know it's a great area for different type of music.
yeah.
How's the music scene right now over there?
So it's funny because a couple of years ago you would have asked me that question. I would have said, "Oh, it's dead. It's over. It's pack your bags." In a way, I still sort of feel that, but it's coming back. There's a really young scene right now. A lot of younger kids are that were locked up during the pandemic. Got really into punk. Got really really into punk, and they're starting all these bands. It just sounds like old '81 US hardcore. All their influences are like usually US hardcore, or like they're like a couple steps behind where people from my generation, 30s and beyond, are playing and listening to. But they're out in droves. They'll throw a show. It's just like 3 or 4 bands. All the kids are 16 to 20 years old, and hundreds of kids will come out and out of nowhere. I have no idea what these kids are doing, where they live, who their parents are, like what's going on. But they're there, and I never thought that that'd be a thing. So now I'm trying to book more all ages shows. I've been booking shows the past couple months. Bands have been hitting me up to, we're coming to Oakland, give us a show. Yeah, I got you. It's been great. Oakland has always had more of a rave scene now, and we have a pretty big rave scene, especially for like more like smaller marginalized groups, smaller kids. The rave scene in San Francisco is kind of more around clubs and less DIY than what we have at Oakland. Over here in Oakland, we have a lot of like spots that just kind of come up, DIY spots, or they'll go rave outside, or wherever they can have it. San Francisco has a little bit of a renaissance right now too. For a long time, people were moving out this way to Oakland because it was too expensive out there.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, and
I went there last year, and it's a great city,
mhm,
but god damn it, it's expensive.
yeah, it sucks. But it's getting a little better. I think the pandemic kind of equalized things a little bit on both sides of the bay, for better or worse. It's expensive over here, just like it is over there. It's a little bit closer over there. Everything's a little bit closer. Things are more sprawled out over here. But really, what happened, man, was Ghost Ship. Once Ghost Ship happened here in Oakland, all these DIY spots were at risk of closing down. So a lot of places stopped having shows. A lot of people had to move away because they lost their housing. It was really, it killed a lot of our friends, but it also killed the vibe, the whole scene in the Bay Area for a while, for a long time. And I thought the pandemic was the last nail in the coffin, but things are
Yeah.
looking better. Yeah, there's
I
a
think
there's
it was like that in almost everywhere that there's like a
yeah.
scene. But yeah, I know there's more of a scene of that type of music here, that where I mean constantly now in Miami, where it's more other type of music.
Mhm.
So the album, like besides the themes that we covered, like for you, which was the song for you that it was like the hardest to write musically, or maybe in with the themes being personal, or something that weren't sure if you're going to put out there? And which song is the one that's like the one that came to you most easily?
That's a great question. I think maybe Samsara was difficult because it's kind of a hard concept to put lyrics to, more or less. Where it's hard to make those lyrics relatable, and I'm still I'm not sure if it's going to be able to land across everyone's ears or minds or whatever. Um, that one was pretty tricky, just because it's something that's so obtuse and so kind of broad, right? It's such a broad idea that doesn't really have a lot of um, tangible examples. Uh, that I think musically we wrote that one pretty early on. I think that was maybe the second or third song that we had written for this new record. And we played that song once live with kind of different lyrics. And that was actually at our very last show. We played that song. It was a brand new song. And we're like, hey, they're asking for one more. We had time for one more. Hit it. Great closer. It was, beautiful. I really love the song. And I wanted to do it justice. So I went back and I rewrote the lyrics eventually and had it. It was kind of, hard idea to flush out.
Yeah, I'm sure. But you look like a guy that likes to read. You look like a guy that likes to read books.
I do, yeah.
And gets informed. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Like when you're writing music and especially something like this, do you research like some books to get some ideas for the music?
I generally am always kind of reading something, and I'll have my reading. Often the world that I'm in will sometimes influence the lyrics I write. It hasn't really happened. I'm trying to think of what I must have been reading during this record. I was reading a lot of sci-fi the past year or so, year and a half probably. And I like sci-fi for its social commentary, and it's very abstract in that regard. It's a lot of universe building, so you get to kind of see another world. But I'm a big fan of Ursula K. Le Guin. She writes a lot of stuff that's very thought-provoking that's relevant to our generation even now, and it was groundbreaking in the 60s and 70s. But there's actually I must have been reading The Dispossessed at that point. The Dispossessed is a book about these colonists, these two planets or two moons of each other. Mm-hmm. And a group of people have colonized one of the moons, and they made it into sort of a anarcho-syndicalist utopia where everyone, kind of works to survive, to try to cultivate this cold, arid moon. But they do so through their own, governments, and it's exploring the themes of having your own independence and individualism within the confines of an anarcho-syndicalist society. The main character travels back to the home planet where they initially left from, and it's kind of more of what we have today, this modern hyper-capitalist world that's at war with a communist totalitarian country or area. And it's supposed to be between USSR and the US back in the Cold War. So the themes are very, very neat there, because he goes back and he finds, oh, this is terrible. These people have so much luxury, and they don't have it this hard, but there's still so much suffering. Meanwhile, everyone's suffering just to make sure we don't have famine. And but at the same time, it's just you're not afforded certain liberties. I think this relates to the song Bear. And Bear's about essentially just being governed by a ruling class that doesn't care to the pain and squalor that the majority of us live in, and the suffering that happens at the direct hands of that class of people. I try to keep those themes prevalent in music, but I try not to be preachy about it, because no one loves that either.
Yeah. People like, okay, you can tell me, but please don't preach too much about it. I understand. It sounds like a very interesting book, the way you describe it. And that sounds great. And but I know what you mean. Like, there's so much like people like cryptocurrency. And for example, I'm from Puerto Rico, and there's people that move to Puerto Rico because there's a law that you don't pay taxes. So we get these like yuppie dickheads that move and they don't care about the island, and it kind of pisses people off. So I get what you mean, because that can happen everywhere. So that's interesting. So I see that you have a nice record collection going over there.
I got a handful over there.
I'm moving soon, so I have everything on boxes. So I can listen to it. So right now, what albums are you currently listening to?
Oh, all right. Let me pull over. This is my shelf of stuff that I've been listening to recently.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, let's. We can have that amoeba series that they have. Show me your bag.
This is Mangers from Mexico City.
Oh, nice.
I just recently did a show for them. They're a psych rock band. They're really, really great. I met them. This guy, Psyched Radio SF, Guillermo. He did a show for them. He had them on their bill. And then they're supposed to be out here on a little tour. They couldn't get a van, so they had to cancel all their shows. They were stuck in Oakland for 7 days.
Oh, that sucks.
And yeah, the bar I work at sometimes, I happened to be there that night. I picked up a shift. I was covering for some friends. And I was like, yeah, I'll get you guys backline. You know, my friend Jose was DJing that Friday. I was like, Jose, just have them play your night. And, you know, it'll just be you DJing, have them play a set, and I'll bring backline. We'll make it happen. So I did like a skill thing. Yeah, they were super sweet. Very, very cool.
Sounds like a cool band. I'll check them out.
Yeah, Mangers. They're fantastic. Great site rock. This is a filmmaker from oh man, I think Argentina or Peru or Colombia. Yeah, I don't know.
I like the cover.
The cover is great. This is which one is it?
The Love Market. Yeah.
He is a producer, DJ, kind of makes industrial music from South America. He made like 5 records in a year in 2020.
Oh wow.
19. Yeah, insane. And he's, you know, great. He's a really fantastic guy. I got that from Detriti Records in Germany. This is also from Detriti Records. This is The Sending. I'm not sure where they're from. Great little EP. It's a shorty, maybe like 6 tracks or something, 15 minutes long. Big one, Asylum Party, Borderline. This is one of my favorite records of all time.
Awesome.
My ex-girlfriend got it to me for Christmas, I think, in 2020. And yeah, it's very, very much influenced.
I hope it's not ruined for you.
It hurts a little bit, but I
that happens to me. I had an ex-girlfriend that she broke up with me on Valentine's Day, and it was back in 1998, and it was when Pearl Jam put out the Yield album. So I went to pick her up, and she's like, "Oh, take me. Let's stop at a mall." I'm like, "Okay." So we stop at a mall. She gets down, and she comes back with the Pearl Jam album, and she's like, "Here," not even a card, and she's like, "Oh, here, have it." And then we went to eat. And then she's like, you know what? This isn't working out. And for the longest time, I hated that record. I like it now, but every time I saw the record, I thought of that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That sucks, man.
Yeah. Have you seen those videos where it's like ruined music and people like go and they're like, oh, I used to love this band, but something happened and now I remember it and it's ruined.
Oh, no. Yeah, I haven't had that before, but that sounds brutal. Yeah, luckily, yeah. I mean, I liked this band before. I turned her on to this band, so it was luckily had memories before that. She really
yeah.
It as well, and that was kind of like it was our record together. And there was definitely some songs that on here that are hard to listen to, but "Play Alone" on this track is one of the best. I don't know, post-punk, cold French wave, cold wave bands. One of the best songs of all time, in my opinion. Over here, I have Black Marbles, first release. Pretty good record. American, I guess like on the kind of, I don't know how to describe them now. I would say post-punk. Everything's post-punk now, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. You like this is what happens. Sometimes when something's after a punk, or you put the post next to it, and when you listen to a band that you don't understand, you put the avant-garde.
Yeah.
Oh, it's avant-garde or it's post. That's like the norm right now.
Yeah, exactly. This is another old man from New York, Crazy Spirit. They were on Toxic State. Nice. Very, very good, influential band from New York at the time. I mean, influential to me. I was stoked on it. I think this record made a lot of waves. Passed from either Poland or Czech Republic. I'm not totally sure, but they are another really good European post-punk band as well. We were talking about this earlier. The Killed by Death Rock series is volume 2.
That's a great looking cover.
Oh yeah, I think this was I think it's Alex Ayer from New York who does the art, and Sacred Bones commissioned him for it. It looks very much like his art style. I may be wrong, but yeah, really fucking killer record. This is Voight Kampf from Kansas City, Missouri, I think. Our friend Ashley Holman, who designed the LP I'm sorry, the first 12-inch that we did, the self-titled, she played in this band for a little while as well. They were on Deranged from Canada. Mundo Muerto from LA. They were another LA punk band, just kind of
Yeah,
classic.
it looks like punk. It looks awesome. You gotta send me like an email or something with all
Yeah.
those names, because I gotta check a lot of those bands out. You really like your music, and I can see you're like a kid in a store, like yes.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, it's my memories, it's like I don't spend records all the time. Everything's on the internet. It's easier on the internet, but Raka
Yeah,
from
but it's different. Like it's easier and more convenient to on the internet. But when you put that record and you put the needle, it spins, and it's like you gotta get up and change it. It's more, I don't know, like personal. Like you have to sit through the album. You can't skip a song.
yeah,
So
totally.
I've got into it at the pandemic, and I started getting a lot of the albums that I love from the 90s and newer stuff. But yeah, all those records looks awesome. I need to check them out. So let's show the artwork for your album. I haven't showed it. So this is the False Figure album cover. So yeah, this is a pretty cool album cover. I like, it's kind of menacing. Like, what did you try to convey with the album cover?
So initially the idea was kind of two anonymous people in a latex mask, um, facing away from each other. They are not on speaking terms, and with a stiletto knife going through their backs. So
Nice.
essentially that it's you're being backstabbed by someone that's your reflection of yourself, your partner, your lover, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's more or less in essence a breakup album of all break, not specifically for one breakup, even though I was breaking up with somebody at the time. But it was a very potent guess theme already in my life.
Oh, I can totally relate. I've had breakups and other. It's worse when you're married.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I can only imagine.
So yeah, but the good thing is like you grow from it, and the experience, and like you got to do the album and get that thing into music. And it's I would recommend this album for anyone that likes all those bands that we were talking about. It's 37 minutes. It's got that cool tone, like 80s, early 90s, but with some modern sound to it, like a modern
Mhm.
twist to a
Yeah.
sound. uh like, so people don't think like, oh no, it's 280s. No, it has a modern sound, modern production. So I really quite enjoyed it. And I could spend hours here just talking about albums with you.
Same.
But
My favorite thing
that's,
to do.
yeah, like I just like love talking about music and discovering bands. So I know people can get the albums out since November 1st. They can get it on CD and LP. I'll put the link in the description box so people that are interested in getting physically get it. Do you also have it when do you do shows? Do you have like physical
Yeah.
copies with you?
So we have a batch of CDs, LPs, cassettes with us on hand. When we
Yeah,
play our show, we'll have all of our merch there. I have a brand new run of long sleeve shirts that I have to fold now as well. I just
nice.
finished dyeing them all, so they're all crust white.
So I'm moving in a month, but maybe when I move, your albums is like one that I would totally get
Oh
to play
yeah,
on vinyl, because it has that sound that I think would translate great to vinyl. Because there's some albums that, yeah, go great. There's some that not so great,
yeah.
especially like old music. Old music sounds great on vinyl, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's
But
it's it's a very big sounding record. We recorded it in a live room, in a big live room at a Great American Music Hall in San Francisco. So all the natural reverb, and it's really really big.
awesome, man. So Andres, it's been great getting to meet you and talking with you. I had lots of fun chatting music and chatting also about the band. So people, get False Figure. You can get it online, or you can, buy it, stream it, how you consume music. But there's newer bands there, if you just get up your ass and go look, because there's people that just stay with no, get out of your comfort zone. There's people that say like, oh, there's no good music after they graduate high school, but there is, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
not being played on the radio. So you need to find it. So Andres, I'll let you go so you keep going with your day, and hopefully I would love to chat again with you and maybe like do a video just showing Vital. That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
that'd be great. I got a whole lot more to pull from.
Yeah,
So
no, like we could do like a whole segment. So people, until next time, this is Hector, the Shield on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.